Hello everyone. Let's learn how to make the fig coaster together. First, we'll start with the preparation. Begin by making the threader. Hold both ends of the fishing line. Take out the tape and stick the line ends. You will need to prepare the tape yourself. Applying tape makes handling easier, but if you don't have tape, it won't affect reading. Once done, this will serve as the threader. Pinch the folded part of the threader. Then thread it through the small hole near the needle tip. Pay close attention. You must thread it through the small hole here. Be sure not to thread it directly through this large hole. If you thread this way, the yarn won't stay on the fabric surface during the punching process. Insert it through the small hole, then continue pushing it forward into the large hole until the threader emerges from the other end. Then thread the yarn through the loop. Pull the threader to draw out the yarn. Leave a yarn end about 1 inch long, approximately 2.5 centimeters. Threading complete. Take out the embroidery hoop, loosen the screw on top of the hoop, and remove the inner hoop. Next, take out the embroidery fabric with the printed pattern. Face the pattern side toward yourself. Place it on the inner hoop. Try to position the pattern properly and place it at the center of the inner hoop. After adjusting, place the outer hoop. If the pattern is slightly off-center, you can adjust it by gently pressing with your fingertips. This completes the adjustment. Then, tighten the top screw, while simultaneously tightening the embroidery fabric. Press the fabric surface and check for any noticeable sagging. If the surface doesn't feel taut and springy, it means the embroidery fabric isn't tight enough. Please continue tightening the fabric. Press the fabric surface again to check if it is properly tightened. While tightening the embroidery fabric, pay attention to the distance between the circle and the outer hoop, keeping an even gap and ensuring the pattern isn't stretched or distorted. Continue tightening the screw to prevent the fabric surface from loosening during punching. This is the effect after tightening the embroidery fabric. The side with the printed outline is the front. We will start punching from the front. Take out the punch needle and adjust the length of the needle head. Take a pipe cleaner. Note the color of the pipe cleaners in the material kit is shipped randomly. The video is for demonstration purposes only. Place the pipe cleaner on the needle head. Bend the front end inward. Continue wrapping the remaining pipe cleaner around the needle head. Then press down firmly to make the pipe cleaner more compact. Measure the length and leave approximately to 0.5 cm. equivalent to about 1 inch. Cut off the excess pipe cleaner. That's it. Take out the instruction manual for the corresponding style. The picture shows the finished effect. Please refer to the manual frequently during the making process. Here indicates the yarn color code. The text below corresponds to the stitching technique. The tools are marked below. Let's start by punching this area. Find the corresponding yarn color in the stitch technique used. Here, we are using the flat stitch technique. The tool used is the punch needle. Take out the matching yarn. Find the yarn end. Following the method shown in the video, first thread the yarn through the punch needle yourself. Set aside enough yarn in advance, laying it loosely for easy punching. Hold the embroidery hoop, keeping it a bit above the table to make needle entry easier. Locate a starting entry point along the edge line of the area to be punched. With the needle's bevel facing forward, fully insert the needle head into the fabric surface. There should be no gaps once the needle head is fully inserted. Place your hand behind the fabric and gently pull the yarn downward. Then carefully withdraw the needle from the fabric surface. Keep the needle's bevel facing forward, with the needle tip closely following the fabric surface. Do not lift the needle too high, as this will cause the yarn segment to protrude noticeably on the fabric surface. First, go back to the previous step. Gently slide the needle tip to restore the enlarged holes on the fabric surface to their original state. Pull the yarn at this end of the needle to tighten the yarn. Continue punching forward. Space the next stitch to 3 holes apart. Punch following the contour line of this area, keeping each yarn segment's length uniform. Continue punching. Rotate the embroidery hoop to adjust it to a comfortable working position. Flip to the back side to check the punching effect on the reverse side. The overall length and spacing are quite even. Flip back to the front side to continue punching. Always remember, the needle tip's bevel should face the direction of movement. Continue filling this area. During punching, be sure to keep your fingers away from under the needle to avoid injury. If you are not satisfied with the result, lift the needle, pull out the yarn, and ray punch. First, use the needle tip to restore the enlarged holes on the fabric surface. Tighten the excess yarn. Ray punch to fill this area. The needle's bevel should always face the direction of movement. If punching is done incorrectly like this, the yarn segments will become twisted. Retract and ray punch. After completing the first round, insert each stitch of the second round at the midpoint of each yarn segment from the first round. Staggered entry points create a fuller effect. Inserting the needle at the midpoint of the previous round's yarn segments, bunting in a staggered manner yields better results. Currently, the effect is created using short yarn segments. Using long yarn segments on the inside produces no different effect than short segments. Short yarn segments appear denser, so you can decide the length of the yarn segments according to your personal preference. After punching is complete, cut the yarn. Use a sharp tool to fully poke the yarn end beneath the fabric surface. The first area is complete. Then take out the instruction manual to make the next area. The flat stitch technique is used. Take the yarn of the corresponding color and pre-thread it into the punch needle. Find a starting embroidery point along the edge line of this area. Similarly, maintain an even length and continue punching until the first round is complete. The entry points for the second round should stagger with the yarn segments of the previous round for a better effect. If you feel the yarn pulling during punching, pull out more yarn on, set it loosely aside before continuing. Notice there is a small gap here, so try to punch closer. Pressing the yarn tighter will make the gaps less noticeable. Cut the yarn after filling. For the protruding yarn segments, use a sharp tool to poke the yarn downward to make it flatter. Find the gaps and fill in a few more stitches. This area is now punched. Similarly, Work on the next area. Continue to find gaps and fill in a few more stitches. The inside of the fig is now punched next. Punch the fig's peel edge. Take the yarn of the corresponding color for this area and thread it through the needle first. Find a starting point on the edge line to insert the needle and begin punching. Rotate the embroidery hoop and punch a few stitches horizontally. Next, punch along the left edge. Then, punch along the semicircle from here to here. Similarly, punch the other side. The fig body is fully punched. Take out the instruction manual next. Embroider the internal patterns of the fig. Please find the yarn in the corresponding color in the necessary tool. Take a length of yarn in the corresponding color and pull out 2 strands. Then, take out a plastic sewing needle and thread the yarn through the needle's eye. Knot the end securely to prevent it from slipping out. Begin embroidering by inserting the needle in this area. Find a point on the backside to bring the needle through. Insert the needle here. continue repeating the embroidery. Then find the next point and bring the needle up from the back. Similarly, continue around the center to embroider the remaining parts. This is how the pattern looks after finishing embroidery on the right side. Flip to the back and clean up the excess yarn ends first. Continue embroidering. Result after completing all embroidery. After finishing embroidery, turn to the back end knot to secure the yarn end to prevent future unraveling. Then continue embroidering the pattern in this area. Take out the corresponding color of yarn, pull out 2 strands, and thread them into the sewing needle. Knot the tail end to secure it. Use the same method to embroider a circle, working in the gaps. Do not pull the tail too tight, leave some length underneath the embroidery fabric. This color is finished, flip to the back, knot to secure, then cut the yarn. Take another color of yarn, first pull out 2 strands and thread them into the needle eye. Next, embroider within this area. After finishing the middle area, continue embroidering some patterns near the outer area. Once completed, flip to the back, knot to secure the yarn end, then cut the yarn. Next, punch the area outside the fig. First take the corresponding color of yarn on, thread it into the punch needle. Continue punching back and forth upwards. Locate the raised yarn segments and use the needle to poke deeply beneath the fabric surface. Finally, flip to the back side and neatly trim the yarn ends. Once finished, loosen the screw on the top of the embroidery hoop. Remove the embroidery fabric. Next, trim the excess fabric along the pressed marks on the fabric surface. Note, cut along the inner circle on the embroidery fabric. Then, make cuts along the edge, leaving a small gap between the opening and the yarn. Fold the edges inward and secure them with hot melt glue. Press firmly to fix. If you don't have a hot melt glue gun, you can use a lighter to heat. Next, I will demonstrate how to use the lighter. Rotate the glue stick and heat it with the inner flame. Heat until it softens and becomes transparent. Once softened, quickly apply it onto the embroidery fabric, then press to adhere and secure it. Precautions when using the lighter. Always heat with the inner flame. Heat until softened and transparent, then it is ready to use. Be careful not to use the outer flame to heat, as this will burn the hot melt glue black, which looks unsightly. To save time, I will continue the demonstration using a hot melt glue gun in the video. Take out the felt fabric and place it on the back of the embroidery fabric. Apply hot melt glue and stick the felt fabric to the back. Press down firmly for a stronger hold. Be sure to apply the hot melt glue to the edges as well for a more secure bond. Then flip it to the front. And carefully trim the excess felt fabric along the edges. Take care not to cut the yarn. Your fig coaster is now completed.